Designing for Global, this is a quite wide title. It can cover designing for different regions, different cultures, language, business requirements, technical requirements. But today, I want to share with you what is designing for global when the team is dispersed in the space, either if it's the same city, same country, or either in another continent. Hello, I'm Leticia Miranda, lead product designer. I'm very grateful to be today here with you and share a little bit of my experience that I have been working with different products and working with different users around the world, and also I have the opportunity to work with great people who learn a lot. So about, a little bit about me. Back in time, in the early 2000s, I started my journey in design. In that moment, I found attractive graphic design because I could work in any place, from my home, a cafe, create end-to-end products just by myself. And here we are, 20 years later, where working distance become quite a standard way of working. So the agenda for today, it covers 3 areas. The first area is what is this topic about. The second one is about collaboration, working distance under the umbrella of team belonging. And the last one is suggestions. It's a compilation of some suggestions from my experience that I found important to work in a global team. So when I have to think a topic for speaking here at collaborating this edition, it came to my mind the idea of working remotely because it's not a long time ago that we were working like this full-time with other stakeholders, with product and project managers, engineers, research, data. Still, we are doing it, even if it's not full-time. In fact, let's do a show of hands. How many of you are working full-time right now, like full-time, no hybrid? So we can see it's a reality. And then hybrid, like half-half? Cool. OK, so we see that it's a reality that is happening, and it's part of our design lives. So with this, we have some learnings about working distance. We have to redefine some habits of organization. Still, we have to get ready, well present to work with other colleagues in the distance. Also, we know that finding different working spaces, changing is good for productivity. Also, having some time to research. And also, like, we have learned about setting up our calendars, appreciating our colleagues and teams that they are working in different time zones, also the holidays, all about video conferences, features, and setup. But how about the online communication? How do we feel about those loads of threads of communication, Slack channels, about a lot of meetings, tags, messages? How can we understand the picture of working remotely so many hours and in the distance? Is there like remote inclusivity? So I just have a quick browse online and to see what are the job descriptions saying regarding this. As we can see here, it's a reality. So how is this covered? So I just took 5 job descriptions in LinkedIn, only 5. The first 5 I found. I didn't pick or select a specific. I just organized for the presentation to present here. So there are different roles within what is design. So this one, a senior web UX designer, what it highlights is the strong interpersonal skills that encourage team cooperation. So, okay, it covers quite general. Then we have a head of design, what it says well connected to stakeholders, empathetic, important, and empowering team management to deliver agreed targets on individual and team performance. So this is, we can see, is more managerial, and yeah, it speaks about connection and being empathetic. This one is actually quite interesting because it's the one with more bullet points, but at the same time, it doesn't say anything about collaboration or about remote. It just mentions here cross-functional team. However, it doesn't say what are the skills to work in a cross-functional team. This one, senior product designer, actually this is the most exciting one. No? It says a desire to work on a growing and evolving design team, helping to shape its culture and operations, egoless, mindful, open-minded, a trail of happy people who will fight to work with you again. So this is a statement, no, in this company. And then the last one, I put as the last one because this one actually refers to the concept of working with globally distributed teams. But as we can see, it's always like very general. Sometimes it's not mentioned. So as conclusions of this part one, we can say that since working remotely is a new standard, we are learning what does it mean. And we will be learning about this, how this means to all of us in time. Also, having a look at different job descriptions, we see that there is a major importance, depends on the project, the organization, and also the individual role. Sometimes, even it's not considered at the beginning, initially, when it's actually part of the work. As a designers, we have to care about this. We have to redefine what and be open mindful about what is remote working, as this improves collaboration. So for part two, called team belonging, it refers to the sense of connection and inclusion that team members experience within a group, feeling valuable and sharing a common goal. This is like the birds flying in V, or a murmuration. When birds fly in this way, they adopt the same brainwave. And the same happens with hunting dogs. When people are working in this environment and get this same brainwave, it's actually very pleasant way of working. As we know, encouraging staff and employees to reach professional working relationships to collaborate with each other is beneficial and promotes collaboration and cross-pollination of ideas to achieve more efficient outcomes on a project work. It also promotes a feeling of fulfillment of job satisfaction, working towards a shared goal on a project. Consequently, this then results in shared success. However, sometimes there are challenges or intentional process to get to that alignment when working distance. So I'm going to speak about two of the challenges. So the first one is the proximity bias. So the first concept, it comes from the social psychology, and the proximity bias is this type of unconscious bias that happens when us individuals favor a person or a group of people that they are just physically closer to us. This is something we can all experience with, for example, football teams, when we are supporting a football team because the fact that it's in our territory, like in our area or city. Being physically closer with others make us closer in our feelers as well. Other examples of this may be when it happens that another part of the world happens something bad. So we are not as worried as this issue would happen close to us, in our city, in our building, or in our group, wherever it is. At work, proximity bias can appear in different forms. One example can be if people believe that on-site employees are much hard workers than the ones that they are working from home, just because the fact of seeing them there working, it gives that feeling, and maybe it's not the case. Another example is when it's easier to understand people that you know already. When sharing ideas or in discussions, you are more in favor of the people that you know already just because you are empathetic to those people. And sometimes it's not the best idea. Maybe yes, but maybe not. The next concept is selective perception, another unconscious process which people screen select and notice objects in the environment. During this process, information tends to be selectively perceived in ways that aligns with existing attitudes, beliefs, and goals. This is also considered in user testing and advertising to understand user needs and behaviors. A general example at work can be when we tend to understand a project from our area of expertise. For example, designers will look at design system, the typography, colors, color tokens, user research, spacing, the journeys. But then engineers, they are looking at code, problems with the limitations of the devices. Then legal, they are looking what we really need to include in each region. So all these different perspectives that should be aligned to get an unified outcome. Another selective perception example that can happen if someone spends, and I think this can happen a lot, like someone spending a lot of time doing a project from their own perspective, and then when this person shares this work with other team, they have another vision. So the person that it was working in silo, it may feel frustrated because has spent a lot of time doing something that then other people was taking another way. So this is why we should work together. And these two processes that we are speaking about, proximity bias and selective perception, are both unconscious processes. But what actually means unconscious in this context? Unconscious means that we can actually be ruled by our emotions unknowingly. The famous psychoanalyst Carl Jung stated in the definition of emotion was that feeling in the ruling faculty of the unconscious mind. We are not just thinking humans, we are also emotional. You might like to think about this now. Every grand big decision we make in life, including our biggest mistakes, we perform unconsciously. Therefore, it benefits us to be mindful of our individual unconscious biases, especially when attempting to regrow as team or organization. So the conclusions for the part 2 basically is that there are some unconscious processes that we should be aware of, and also speak about these situations and convert challenges in opportunities, not like creating more like a negative context situation. Cool. So then we have reached the last part, that is the third part, where basically I was putting together 6 attitudes that I found important to work in a team collaboratively. Maybe you think there are others that they are more relevant, so please share later on in the Q&A and we can discuss. But these ones are the ones that I found more important. And obviously they can cover a lot of areas as well. When we are learning about design, we start working about design, we are thinking and focusing in the image theory, in UX techniques, all about this, about softwares. But then, with the time, we realize that actually those soft skills and these more attitudinal parts of the work, actually they are very important to do right our work. So this is not exclusive to design, but it makes super important for our daily work. The first one is organization. Organization can touch different areas: structures, systems, rules, codes. For example, design system is, I think, a very good example, and it not only affects to designers, it's also part of the whole organization. And about structures, I would like to say that sometimes, obviously, they are super important, but sometimes we create a lot of commitments and a lot of systems that can be more complex. So the tools and systems, they should be there to help us, but not to create more confusion. For example, if I am a designer, I'm working in this task, and I have to commit to, in this Figma file, it has to have these all requirements, apart from the project to deliver for the final user, I have to commit to a lot of internal requirements. Then also there are a lot of dependencies in Figma. Then I have to document in Confluence. Then I have to also make sure about the tracking app, wherever it is, Jira. Then there is a new app or software that apparently is as well a source of truth. Then there is a change, so I have to make sure I update all of this. And then it comes a new project with more changes here, and this new project has to also cover all these changes. Then I go on holidays, I come someone new, and has to take care of this. So the system is important to make sure all works smoothly, but we have to make sure we are realistic, because depends on the size of the organization, the team. There are a lot of ideas or objectives we want to do, but we have to make sure those are realistic for the team size and for the time. So we have to make sure there is clarity about who is doing what and how are the process to allow everybody to prioritize and make the most of the time. Our own time to know where is the moment to design and the time to discuss with other stakeholders, but also to understand the time zones and find that common moment to work together, and then everybody can carry on in the different time zones. The second one is team communication. It's a key in different senses. I was collecting here because it was a little bit of a collage of ideas. So very related to organization, it has to be everybody on the same page in terms of goals and objectives communicated clearly. Because there are a lot of channels of communication, doesn't mean we have to abuse of them. We have to make sure like we have a time to design and to create the product, and not being all the time like this feeling that we have to be connected all the time. And because we are connected all the time, but and then we have to find ways that we cannot be focusing everything, so we have to focus in a topic. And this is actually very important when we are in video conference with a lot of members of the team. And then with speaking actually with different members of the team, sometimes when we are not involved in, in all the projects of the organization or the company, so sometimes we want to participate, and we are not that into the topic, and an easy way sometimes to give an opinion to say, like, I'm listening, I want to participate. So an easy way sometimes is being more judgmental or making a criticism. So I did it, and I think it's something everybody is very common to do sometimes when we are discussing designs. But this is what I mean, like, we should be trying to be more constructive, because it will come to us and it will create a more, collaborative context. And then, if there is something that we consider is wrong or can be improved, and many times it's not a big problem for the final product, so it's not needed to raise a problem also in front of everybody. So it's just speak one-to-one with the person and trying to find a solution if it's important. And then if you have the chance to meet your colleagues, even if it's once in a while, I think it's like make the most of that, because it will allow you to understand how they are thinking, how is this person like understanding the project. And then finally, find the right moment for your good ideas. A good idea thrown in the wrong moment with the wrong people can be lost. So I encourage people like to save your good ideas, prepare for the right moment, even not just you have to share, people maybe they will ask for that idea. So the idea will be more welcoming. And yeah, this is about communication, which is an area, I guess it covers much more. The third one is flexibility. So don't feel small if someone knows more than you. Just feel lucky that you are in a group of people that is good. If we are too comfortable, maybe it will not be good for long term. But obviously, this depends on everybody's goals, of course. We understand that we work in the same team. So sometimes I have to follow others' ideas or systems, even when sometimes I don't think maybe it's the best way. And other times, others have to follow my ideas and my systems. So for this, I'm going to mention a classic quote that I guess everybody knows, I found very good for this topic, which is from Charles Darwin. It's not the most intellectual of the species who survives. It's not the most, the strongest that survives. The species that survives, they are the ones that can adapt and adjust to the changing environment in which it finds itself. So dealing with constant changes in this tech environment, the iterative delivering process, we have to be aware that we can control everything, especially in big teams and in complex products. And for this, we have to actually go to the next point, that is trust. So we have to trust in our colleagues, in the other people. The other people is there because they know what they are doing, and they have to feel, and we have to feel valuable. Everybody is in the same project. The responsibility is the team. If something fails, the team fails. And if there is no trust, the baseline is wrong. I'm speaking about being wrong. It's okay. So being wrong is okay. So when this happens, when you feel like this, that you can express your ideas and work in like this, so you know you are in the right place. Quite important for creativity and, paradoxically, for success. What is more important to focus, in the problem or in the solution? So we are designers, and we are trying to find always the solutions, and this is why we exist. So finally, my last point that I found super important is this can be a fun work to do. So let's make sure, between all, we don't lose the opportunity to enjoy in this journey, and we will see that more beautiful things will come with this attitude. And you, what do you think? Thank you for listening.